Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Canadian premiere of Girl. My name is Carrie Craddock. I'm the Director of Programming for the festival. No, you gotta save it, please. Thank you. To begin, we would like to acknowledge that tonight's event is taking place on the treaty territory of the Mississaugas of New Credit and the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and the Huron-Wendat. We are very grateful to have the opportunity to work in this community. As part of TIFF's commitment to engaging youth in the festival's programming, our TIFF Next Wave committee selected this film for the next generation of movie lovers. Are some of you here today? Next Wave? Woo, okay, there you go. The TIFF Next Wave Committee is supported by the Slate Family Foundation Learning Fund. This film is eligible for the Girls People's Choice Award. You can vote for all of your favorite films at tiff.net/vote. A huge thank you to Netflix and the Match Factory for providing us with this film today. They're all here, yay. They're great partners of the festival, so round of applause for them. Thank you. Also, a big thank you to Flanders Image for their generous support. Girl is Lukas Dhont's first feature, but you would never know it. Having received the Camera d'Or Award and the Queer Palm at the Cannes Film Festival, I think he's well on his way to becoming a true master of cinema. Inspired by a true story, Girl is both a deeply moving and intelligent film that, in my mind, is about so much more than a young girl transitioning to womanhood. Girl features stunning visuals and an awe-inspiring performance from Victor Polster, who won the award for Best Actor in the Cannes and Certain Regard section of that festival. This one, I believe, will surely take your breath away, and we are very fortunate to have the director here for an introduction and the cast here as well for a Q&A after the screening. Yay, so please stay for that. But now, without further ado, please join me in welcoming the director of Girl to the stage, Lukas Dhont.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Yay! Okay, thank you all for being here. I'm super excited that you all are here, ready to witness my first feature film. Yes, whew. I'm a bit nervous. The idea for this film started in 2009, when I was just gonna start film school. I was 18 at the time, and I read about a young girl who wanted to become a ballerina above anything else. And she became a huge inspiration for me on a personal level and on a professional level. And I want to dedicate this film to her. She has been very important in my life, and I hope that she becomes important in yours after today. So yeah, enjoy this film, and I will see you after together with my amazing cast. Thank you.
Hello again, everybody. We're very fortunate to be able to have some guests for a Q&A this afternoon. Just a few notes on how we'd like that to go. If you have a question, please raise your hands high and wave them around. I'll do my best to get to as many of you as I can. And I will always try to repeat the questions for the benefit of everybody else. And the shorter you make your questions, the more of them we can do. Okay, please join me in welcoming back to the stage the director of Girl, Lukas Dhont.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. That feels good. I'm going to introduce you to some very, very special people. First of all, the person that you saw play the father in the film, which I think is someone that shows just an enormous amount of love. Here is a great, great actor, Arje Worthalter. And then next to that, we have someone that I met when he was 14. During a casting, after looking for a year and a half for someone to play this part, who had the bravery to, in mid-puberty himself, play this. And I think he's an absolute star. And I hope you agree with me, Victor Polster.
Well, thank you, everybody, and congratulations again. Maybe your introduction of Victor is a nice segue to a question for you about how you went about casting this role. I know that you faced some difficult choices in terms of the priorities for you and finding the actor. If you could maybe tell a little bit of that story.
Yes. So when we were writing the script, we thought that the casting for this film was going to be absolutely impossible. And the production was very, very anxious about that, because we needed someone of 15 years old that had the maturity to play these parts, that could act, but that could also dance on a high, high level. Well, now we found him. You see him here. But a couple of years ago, we thought it was impossible. We did a genderless casting. So we saw young boys, we saw young girls, and we saw some young transgender girls for the part. We saw 500 of them. And in the end, the only one who had everything to play the part was Victor. And and we were excited about that. I remember the first time ever that I saw him was in a big group of 30 young dancers. And I was looking at the producer and the co-writer when he walked in. And it was a magical moment, because immediately we realized that he was the only one we had seen up until then that had this. It was like he transcended gender for us when he walked in. And I'm not saying that to defend myself, but it was like nor boy nor girl. And he has this sort of angelic, magnetic quality. And when he started dancing, I think my insides knew that it was him.
One of the things I think most appreciate about your perspective on telling this story is how you focused on Laura's internal conflict as opposed to conflict with the outside world, which is present, of course, but there's also so much support and love there. And I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about the choices you made on how to focus that story.
Yeah, the film was a close creative collaboration, of course, with the girl that went through a big part of what you just saw. But the only difference was that her school didn't allow her to change classes from the boys to the girls. And we, as a film, we were not very interested in doing that. We were interested in starting the film at a point where she, as a character, really didn't have to fight the outside world, but could really go in conflict with herself. And I think what is beautiful is that a lot of times when we see these characters, they are heroic because they have to fight the outside world. And I was interested in showing a character closer to Nora that really, whose biggest conflict was the relationship with herself and with her reflection, and with a body that is told by society as to be masculine. And so for me, that was the entry for writing this story.
Victor, maybe we'll ask a question of you, and if you could talk a little bit about how you approached this role and what it meant for you to play, and maybe some of your preparation.
Oui, mais donc je vais le faire en français, parce que sinon en anglais, je vais pas pouvoir bien m'exprimer. En fait, d'abord, quand j'ai rencontré Lukas, c'était avec l'audition. Donc, c'était directement avec Arié.
When I met Lucas, it was first with... Oh, I'm sorry.
Non.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Et donc, c'était directement avec Arié. Et donc, on a tout de suite vu qu'il y avait quelque chose d'assez spécial entre nous, une relation assez spéciale.
It was with Carrier, and we immediately understood that there was something very special in our relationship.
Et sinon, pour vraiment me préparer pour le rôle, je me suis surtout inspiré de Nora et de son histoire.
My inspiration for the role, it was mostly with Nora and her history.
Et de tous les changements, en fait, surtout physiques, qui m'ont changé, par exemple, les essais de maquillage ou bien les extensions. Et le fait de se voir en tant que fille m'a beaucoup aidé mentalement, en fait, surtout pour jouer le rôle.
And of all the changes, the makeup and all the preparation, it helped me a lot with the playing the part.
Okay, thank you. We can turn it over to you guys now. Are there any questions from the audience? Okay, we'll go right down in the front row. So the question, I believe, is for Victor, who played the part of Laura. And, you know, how aware were you of transgender issues when you took the role, and how aware are you of them now?
Avant, non, pas beaucoup, parce que donc je fais des études de danse et donc je suis concentré dans que ça, et donc on parle aussi que de ça avec les gens qu'on connaît.
Before, no, not at all. But I was already involved in dance, and we talked about things as we were at dancing school.
Et donc ouais, il y avait vraiment une sorte de bulle qui était concentrée que autour de la danse. Et puis c'est avec Lukas que j'ai appris beaucoup en fait.
There was a bubble which was totally focused on dancing. It is with Lukas that I found out more later.
Et avec la rencontre de Nora, en fait.
And mainly meeting Nora.
Yeah, I'll add to your question. Of course, Victor is in full puberty himself, discovering the many parts of him. No, but as any teenager, you know. And so when I chose him, it was me and Nora's task to also really inform him and put him like in that situation that he could tell that story. And I think we obviously, because Nora and me were so informed at that point, even if I'm not trans and but I had Nora always there during the script, but also during the preparation of Victor to really prepare him for the part, because I knew there was an importance in him understanding what that meant. And I think, as you can see on the screen, he understood. And for me, I think the greatest quality of an artist is empathy. If you understand someone, if you respect someone, then I think you can portray that person if you do it with all those qualities. And I think he did that, which I'm very thankful for. Thank you.
Are there any other questions out there? Yes, towards the middle on the aisle. Yeah, in the white jacket. So the question is about the parenting and the portrayal of it in the film, and it felt very natural and instinctive. Maybe you could each talk a bit about the choices you made when playing the role and developing the part.
Well, that part on Nora's parents were totally supportive of her. There was no question about it. There's a lot of material of Lukas interviewing the father, Benny, and I met them myself, and it was from the get-go full on with their daughter, and that's pretty amazing. And that's exactly what we wanted to do with that part. We wanted to go into total support of your child or anyone you love.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I can add to that, like meeting the Monsecoeur family, when I met them in 2009 after I read that article, they went through a really tough time. And these parents were always like there to such a beautiful, loving extent that I had no other option than to choose that option. And I think it's a great deal. I mean, when I grew up and I saw gay characters surrounded by their parents, a lot of the time the parents didn't accept. And in a way, that taught me something. And I think we want to be portraying a different option, an option in which parents accept and then try to communicate with their children as best as they can. And I think that's exciting.
If I can just add, because I think it's important. I think Matthias, the father, apart from representing a father or a parent who's supporting his child, it's an individual who understands from the beginning that beyond the father a child question, it's an individual who knows that the diversity and the facets that our human existence proposes, all the possibles, is the only way to be together, to be with the person he loves, to be capable of himself facing these things, these questions. And I think that's he represents that kind of person who understands that there's no boundaries to what we are and what we decide to be. And yeah, that's.
There's a question in the very middle next to the white hooded seats. So the question is about the mother, Nora's mother, and we obviously are aware that there is a mother present, but she's not in the story. We didn't feel the lack of her necessarily, but if you could maybe talk a bit about the choice points of how you dealt with that character.
Yeah, I also got that question of Nora's mother. She was like, "Why did you write me out of this film? This was my moment." It's from it's really for a dramaturgical reason. It's because first of all, I wanted to focus on the father-daughter relationship, because for me, like, a father a lot of the times in these films is the person that doesn't accept. And so I wanted to focus on that relationship and the beauty and the dynamic of that. But not having the mother there allowed me to really let Lara take the position of the woman in the family. She could be the mother of Milo in a way. She could also be his sister. She could be the daughter of Matthias, but also be like a sort of friend, or the dynamic between them could change. And I think that allowed me for Lara to look for that form outside, but have found it in the family. And I thought that was a great, like, script-wise, that excited me.
I'd like to ask you about the focus on visuals in the film. There's not a lot of dialogue, and it has a very beautiful visual style. And I'm wondering if you could talk a bit about the choice points on how you developed that.
Yeah, I think also with my short films, I really start from movement. So I start from creating a scene with a movement towards each other, away from each other. And dialogue is actually something that comes very secondary. So I'm very, very focused on the visuals of a film, and in the work with my DOP who shot this film, who is a very known cinematographer in Belgium, I said I want to use a lot of hard sunlight that sort of burns on the screen, because during the writing we had been working a lot with the Icarus image of someone who really tries to go further and further and further. So that, and then I'm a bit I'm very aesthetic, I want things to be color perfect, and at the same time I have a sort of documentary style going into a scene, letting them have the freedom of it. So I think we work a lot with colors, with lighting, and then, for example, the dance aspect of this film, it was clear to us that we didn't want to make a dance film. We wanted to make a physical film. We didn't want to captate the dance or show the choreography, but show the effect of that on the body and on Lara, and what that does to her, and how she's in that. So with that development, we really try to look for a way to film, how we could film that so that would come across. And sometimes you get presence when you make a film, and because before I was always like the total body is a conflict for Lara, so we have to do a lot of total shots. But then every time that Frank, at a certain point, he only started filming Victor's face, because he saw how much was happening on it. So we really adjusted also to Victor our style, because we wanted to use that in the final product.
You just mentioned a very important element of the film, I think, which is the physicality of it and how physical it is, and in all sort of senses of that word. And Victor, I know that you come from a dance background, but I'm wondering if you could maybe talk a bit about what was sort of most challenging for you in terms of the physicality of the role.
Quelque chose qui était très compliqué, en fait, surtout dans la danse, c'était les pointes, parce qu'on n'en fait pas en tant que garçon.
What was the most difficult? It was the point. I'm not sure.
Yeah, point work.
The point work, because as a man, you don't do that.
Donc oui, c'était surtout ça, et le fait de se blesser, en fait, pour pas danser après.
And also the injuries, because and not to dance after the injuries.
Donc oui, en fait, dans la danse, c'est surtout ça qui m'a fait peur et de pas pouvoir être réaliste en tant que Lara sur pointe.
And not to be able to be realistic as Lara on doing the point work.
I'll just add to that because he's too shy to say it to you guys. But during 3 months, this guy practiced for 10 hours a week with a professional team on top of his school to be able to do that in the film all himself. He doesn't have a body double, no one. So he does all of that himself, which I think is kind of amazing.
Okay, yes, just in the middle in the floral shirt. Yeah, go ahead. So the question is, how much drama did you sort of infuse into the film from Nora's real life? Maybe some of the conflict she experienced. If you could talk a little bit about those moments.
So we decided to leave out the drama that was going on around her, and decided to keep the drama that was going on inside of her. So actually, we took 50%. Yeah, we left out the reactions that didn't accept because we wanted people to let her be herself. Because she is a girl and she wants that, and the people around her accept that. And we kept what was inside, and we focused on that because to me that was something I felt like showing.
Okay, we have time for just one more question. And I have one if there's... Oh, yes. I'm going to go to the very back row in the dark. Yes. So the question was for Victor, and if you found that your dance style was impacted by playing this role when you went to dance afterwards.
Oui. Oui. Parce que forcément, quand on danse en tant que fille pendant plusieurs mois, à la fin, c'est dur de nouveau en sortir.
Yes, because obviously when you dance as a girl for so many months, it's hard to get out of it.
Mais sinon, ça m'a beaucoup appris pour la danse classique et pour la danse contemporaine, pour savoir ce que ça fait en fait de danser en tant que fille et ce qu'on ressent sur les pointes.
It really helped me as for contemporary dance and classical dance because it helped me understand how one feels as a girl, especially with the point work.
Oui, donc ça m'a plus aidé qu'autre chose en fait, d'essayer les pointes et d'essayer le fait de danser en tant que fille.
Yes, it was very helpful for me to do the point work and to dance as a girl.
Okay, well, congratulations again on the film. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for coming and staying.
Thank you.